Ickle me, pickle me, tickle me too. Went for a ride in a flying shoe. Hooray, what fun, it's time we flew. Said ickle me, pickle me, tickle me too. That is actually the beginning of one of my favorite poems by one of my favorite poets, Shel Silverstein. For my container that I brought for my speech today, I actually brought my duffel bag, which I used to use when I was traveling around the U.S. with my mother. Later on, I would use duffel bags when I was traveling around the world, but this one in particular is the one I used when I was little itty-bitty 4-year-old child lugging around this thing that was as big as me. For my first item, I brought my stuffed rabbit named Mr. Fluffy. He was given to me by my cousin Jennifer, and she actually handmade this for me. He's been patched up many, many times, and if you can look, well, you might not be able to see, but he has stitching right here that's blue. Each time I stitch him up now, I give him a different color to show how many times he's been repaired. I thought you would find that interesting. Sorry, this thing's pretty deep. For my second item, I brought my little crystal globe. The reason why I brought it is because I used to travel the world, as I mentioned earlier. And the reason why this is important is because it's something that I'm very passionate about and I miss doing it. I'm hoping one of these days that I'll be able to do it with my future husband. I'm hoping that one day I'll be able to go back to some of the countries I've been to, and I hope he'll get to see them for the first time. For my third item, I brought actually sheet music. Please do not feel like I'm a weirdo. I brought my sheet music because this is actually my first solo, All That Jazz. I sing it because jazz, blues, and gospel are my favorite genres to sing because they happen to be the most heartfelt music in my opinion. I think they have the best way of connecting to what you want to say, in my opinion. Mr. Fluffy wants to come out of the bag. For my fourth item, you know how I mentioned Shel Silverstein? He's back, folks. This is actually my copy of Where the Sidewalk Ends. My copy of Shel Silverstein's Where the Sidewalk Ends is actually very worn out and beat up. I've read it so many times that you can actually see where it's worn down right here from where my hands have been. And if you look at the spine, same thing. My favorite poem from this book is Ickle Me, Pickle Me, Tickle Me Too. It's one of my favorite artists, and the reason why is because he talks a lot more about life than, even though his poems are ridiculous, he talks about serious things like acceptance and world peace. So, he's a big influence on my life. My fifth item, I am not pulling it out of my bag. I'm pulling it off my hand. This is my engagement ring. I don't know if you can see it, so I'm kind of holding it out to you. It is designed after an Irish torque. I am clearly Irish if you haven't figured that out, just by looking at me. My fiance picked this ring out for me very specifically because we celebrate our heritage very thoroughly, but we also want to stand back and accept the future. Most torques are actually twisted iron, while mine is not. Mine is just plain white gold going around and doesn't close at the center. It's meant to be a promise of walking into the future. Most of my decisions in my life have been made by random happenstance, to be honest. I've made very quick, odd decisions. And every single one of these items is that little quirk that adds up. Thank you for listening.